Mhm.
Hey, this is Harry, and you are listening to Litt Podcast, a show where we speak with New York City event hosts and their stories. This week, I'm speaking with Joanna from Dance in Bushwick. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Harry.
Hey, Joanna, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm still alive on this blessed day. So,
Nice.
could you tell us a little bit more about what is your event? How did you end up in this doing this event for our listeners?
Sure. Um, yeah, we started Dance in Bushwick in 2018 after I had ACL surgery. I've been a dancer um, my whole life. My mom was a dancer. My dad was a lighting designer. So I've been in the arts around art production pretty much since I was a baby. Um, and yeah, I moved here into New York from Atlanta in 2012 in January, and got to know the dance community, the dance scene here. I'm mostly a modern contemporary dancer, and yeah, so I had this injury. I didn't really know exactly what to do with my time, and but my husband, we've lived in Bushwick since I moved here, basically, and he worked at a bar, and he always got to walk to work. And I'm also a math tutor, and so I'm traveling to people's homes and commuting to dance stuff, and I feel like I'm on a train 2 to 3 hours every single day, and super jealous of his 5-minute commute. And also just wanting to be more a part of my own neighborhood and investing in it and getting more attached to a place that I live, and not just feeling like a transient being. And anyway, so
Yeah, I think we're going to touch on like community building and
yeah,
the appeals of that.
yeah. And so I'm like on my couch flipping through Instagram, and already felt, even before that, just, wanting to connect with more artists in Bushwick. Like that was when the L train was just about to shut down, like for good, or what we thought. And so I wanted to connect more with artists that I live nearby with for potential collaborations or just getting to know. And so I'm, after my surgery, flipping through Instagram, and just like, I want to help promote the people that are already making events happen right now. And so that's how it started. I would just repost other people's events happening close by. And then as I was healing, I would go to these events and meet people. And by September, I had met enough people that we decided we wanted to put on this kind of mixed bill show together at Heart Bar. Yeah, so that was our first event in 2018 in September. Heart Bar was like such a great space. They have an event space downstairs, and this like beautiful wooden bar upstairs. And we had a fashion show upstairs, and the designer made some costumes also that were in the fashion show that were dance costumes in the show later. So it was just kind of this really fun collaboration with a costume designer and dancers.
How did you get hooked up with Heart Bar? I actually really like that place. It's kind of like a garage that's been retrofitted to be a 2-story bar.
Yeah. We it was one of the first friends, dance friends that I knew that lived in Bushwick. We were like meeting up over beers, and he's like, "Oh, I just went to this really great bar." He'd lived nearby, and Ryan Albee and I went over there and talked to the owners. They're super cool. One of the owners, David, also known as Guidance, is a dancer as well, and he was even in the first show that we put on. So he's kind of like a hip hop yogi. So he brought this really cool energy and style to the show.
Okay. So it sounds like when he heard that you all wanted to do something here, he was like, when?
He's just like a beautiful person, and every time we go over there, he's just so inviting. How you doing? Like, he just kind of feels like an art family immediately, and we felt so supported at our first show. And he's always down to, like, we last minute we needed a videographer. He's like hooking us up with his friends, and all these. He's just really cool network friend.
This that was like a showcase for Dance in Bushwick?
Yeah, that was our like first showcase, and then through Casey, my husband, he is also went to school for sound engineering, and did some sound production after school, after college, after he graduated, and he's also a musician, and he is the technical director. So he was just kind of like hands on deck, making the shows happen, and I'm just stage managing and kind of assembling, so we're just this fun team. It's really.
Is that the first time you've ever like organized your own event? Because that seems like a lot of work.
I just feel like that's kind of my nature to jump in. So anytime I was a part of other dance companies, I have more, or I feel like sometimes I have an analytical mind compared to some dancers potentially. And so I just like see some things and I'm like, we could make that better. And then I would always help my parents, my mom's a stage manager as well. I would just like run around and help them. They would do Nutcracker every year. And so, I would see a lot of the work that would need to be put in. But, yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like you got injured once, and then instead of wasting that opportunity, you went ahead and made a dance themed Instagram to promote kind of like the things you know about in the city, and it's sort of been growing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so through Casey's network in the neighborhood and my own, and just growing, we met this guy named Drew who was living over at a space called Unit J, which is off the Wilson stop. And that's kind of like a music venue, but it's a loft space, a live-in house kind of loft. And they're really cool. And we had our second show there. It was a really like unique experience. Recommend looking them up.
These shows, are you doing them yearly, every 6 months?
I think it was more just like anytime I had enough energy.
It's not only 6 weeks.
It turned into like, because I did it in September and then December, and then I kind of burned out, and then I was like, well, I guess I didn't really burn. So then we were like, these things are evolving and people are wanting different things, and some people just want to show up 5 minutes before the show starts and do their dance, and some people want like a week-long residency in the space, and mm-hmm. people want collaborations and want to meet new people, and some people just want to show up and do their thing. And
is that a side of things you anticipated when you got?
No, I'm like, these people are calling me and they're like, can I get in the space right now? I'm like, I'm in a tutoring session. I don't know how to answer this question right now. But, it's just like, I wanted to support the artists and what they needed and and what they wanted. And like, they just want to make great work and get better. And so we,
so you seem to be hinting at a space you haven't mentioned. Do you have a space here in Bushwick where you host a lot of these other shows?
Yeah, I mean, the main space that we do, what that evolved into is Experiment in Bushwick, which is a short, like a works in progress kind of series that we do 3 times a year at Star Bar. And Star Bar is just this really wonderful space that's connected with this social justice organization, Mayday. And they have really great events there all year round. And so we have 6 artists perform. We normally have like a host as well, and yeah, it's just like a $5 entry. It gets split with the artists, and we just have a great time. It's really fun, really cool space. Everyone wants chill vibes, and we just have a blast.
Which of these did you perform virtually, or did you? It seems like you had a couple of shows in person, and then the virus hit. How did you all deal with that? Did that change the way you do your thing?
Yeah.
Your event?
Yeah, we had about 11 different events last year, 2019. Mostly at Star Bar, and then we do like these meetups as well, where we dancers kind of talk with other collaborators, lighting designers. We would do that at the Sampler, which is a really great space. Sometimes in Dweebs, which is a coffee shop off DeKalb, near Tony's. Anyways, yeah, so we
I love Dweebs.
I love Tony's. Yeah, we did these all live, and I just gets, it's just such a great, the energy of a live event is just so magical. And I just, show day comes and you're like hyped and you're excited, everyone's finally there, and you're meeting everyone all at once in the same space. And so yeah, we're like 2020 hit, but we were really fortunate. Casey is a great writer, and we wrote this grant together, and we got a grant through the Brooklyn Arts Council. And COVID happened, and we're like, we think we got to have one event in March right before it happened. It was like the week that everything started shutting down, and we're like, we don't know what to do. Star Bar was being really supportive. They're like, we're cleaning everything, and we're like, you can show up, I guess. We wanted to support the artists, and if they felt safe, and so some decided not to be a part of it, which legitimate, obviously. And but yeah, we planned all these things, and we told this grant organization that we would do all this stuff, and thankfully they've been really supportive. And we switched to this virtual artist residency. So virtually in Bushwick, we reached out to people that had been a part of our events in the past that we wanted to reinvest in our relationship, and we asked if they wanted to do an Instagram takeover. So they do 3 stories, so they get their own row in our Instagram feed, and then do as many live takeover in stories and as they want.
Those are for the IGTV or for something else?
It can be over IGTV. They get to choose. It's totally like some people want really active stuff, and some people want to be really passive. And since COVID is just like this weird emotion crazy, like some artists are just super productive and revved, and some artists just want to contemplate and process. And so the only thing that we want is the posts, so that we get a dedicated row for them on our feed. But yeah, when we're trying to really build more connections with people that live directly in the neighborhood, we've kind of like in the past, people that live nearby has been, North Brooklyn is been the focus, and then Bushwick has been the primary focus, and now this year we're really wanting to connect with more people that we say live or work in the neighborhood is kind of our direct
focus.
Yes, thank you.
That's fine. Have you noticed that some people are moving to Ridgewood from Bushwick?
Yeah, totally.
Well, I think I have a friend that moved into Ridgewood, right? That was one sign. That was about a year a year ago.
Yeah.
But like I don't really hang out up there too much, so I don't know if they've really been like making a lot of apartments or what's going on.
Yeah, I've had a lot of close friends move to Ridgewood. I think it's tends to be quieter, potentially.
Mm. I think it's a little bit further out.
Yeah. But I think there's some cool spaces that have just opened up over there, because we did a couple of events last year that were on the Ridgewood Bushwick border, but because of the grant, we were specifically, it's a Brooklyn Arts Council grant, so we have to be a little bit more rigid with, Footlight Bar has a really great event space. There's this new bar that opened up called TBI, super cool event space there too. Like,
those are in Ridgewood?
Yeah, those are in Ridgewood. Footlight Bar does a lot of music and dance as well. And there's cool stuff. I mean, it's New York. It's not like there's not cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's also tons of stuff I've heard of just by looking at the map.
Yeah.
In Williamsburg, and I just haven't checked them out. It's just so many things to check out. Is becoming like a nonprofit on your timeline in your future, or?
I think, Dance in Bushwick isn't a nonprofit. That's a good question. There is there's an aspect of, needing to have a board. That is a big part of being a nonprofit. They can fire you. They can, you're basically signing over your company to this board. And then you also have to manage them and have quarterly board meetings, and that's just a different setup structure than we have right now.
Yeah. I was just wondering if it sounds like it is something that you've considered. I've never opened up a nonprofit, so I'm sure it's even more work than that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can scale it down, and there's but yeah, I think also there are pros and cons to every structure, obviously. So it just depends what you want to prioritize.
So your focus is on Bushwick and maybe Ridgewood, maybe. And I'm just curious to like, have you gotten a sense of like, where did you get your early, kind of like your early audience? Like, were they all like friends of Star Bar, or do you have any like insights into like how are people finding your group and what's really resonating with them?
Yeah. I mean, I network like crazy, to be honest. I spend a lot of time like having coffee and meeting people, and but I also feel like I really lucked out with our first show. Like we got in Heart Bar, it was over 80 people on our first show, and it's a small space to have a dance show and 80 people. I was just, the fashion designer was a friend of Ryan's. Lear happened to be just like this really go-getter person that I met, I just met people that were so driven, and they were promoting it and doing their own thing. And Heart Bar was just really excited, and I don't even think they knew, like, it was their, they were newer when I think they had opened in March right before we got there, and that was like their biggest sale day up until that point. And
yeah, Heart Bar isn't super old. They've been around for a while, at least a year or two, maybe more.
Yeah, and so it was just we just hit the ground running, and then like people had, because I was promoting other events, we were connecting that way too. And
so you're already part of, like, would you say you're already part of the dance scene here in New York City before you started your thing?
Yeah, I mean, and then there's a bunch of dance classes. As a dancer, you take a lot of classes if you're not with like a full-time company, because it's kind of like a way to keep developing your craft and also network and also create community. So there are some really great studios that, I also am a part of a group called the Lovelies, and we teach at a studio in Brooklyn called Mark Morris, which is one of the bigger studios here in Brooklyn. And then, there's like movement, there are all these really great organizations, movement research, more of like they all have their like things that they can improve on, but as far as inclusivity and accessibility, but yeah, like Broadway Dance Center, Perry Dance, Gibney Dance, they're all, they have so many classes, and it's just a great place to connect. And then Triskelion, there are some more like local theaters, like the Lovelies that I work with. We have a really strong connection with Triskelion Arts, which is this theater in Greenpoint. And so, and I think people were just started to get excited that other things were happening in Brooklyn. We didn't have to keep going to Manhattan to do stuff. And
I feel like a lot of people feel that way, myself included. I often have to go into the city. Before COVID, would often have to go to the city to do like an occasional meeting or meeting. But living in Bushwick, it really, you really overthink it. You're like, well, do I really want to go all the way over there just to come back?
Right.
So
yeah.
I went through a phase where I would go out often to Lower East Side, but over the past couple of years, there's plenty of things to do right here, right in this neighborhood. So if I was, because I've seen a little bit of Dance in Bushwick on my timeline on Instagram. If I was, what's like the process to, other than like being your friend, it seems. How do I get on Dance in Bushwick? How do I get one of these takeovers?
That's a great question.
You have to earn it. Who would I talk to?
We're interested in promoting and developing relationships with people that have unique stories and stories of that don't necessarily look like me, like different stories, and so one intention that we had for this year is like giving up our curation, because I'm the only curator right now, to people that I really trust, so that they can, Hans is this artist, and he actually curated Experiment this year. He's a flamenco dancer. He is just a stunning human and a really great activist, and yeah, I think that was kind of more of the intention this year, and we're still trying to figure out how to do that. And
it's a big problem that lots of organizers face. So I've run my own meetups in the city about computers, and one of them has grown to like 3,000 people, like on meetup.com.
Yeah.
And there is this issue of like how do I delegate? How do I, in engineering circles, we say bus factor, which is like how many people have to get run over by a bus for the project to stall. And so we're always trying to increase that from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. In my experience, it's been very hard because it's very hard to find anyone else that is as committed. People live busy lives, and they might just not be as into the meeting as you are. So trying to crack that.
Yeah, I think I think dancers are really hard workers, just to be straight up honest, and they're used to working under, or artists, and artists are just so used to working under, they're just so creative and driven. And I don't know, Hans worked like 20 hours more than I thought he would. You know, he was just so excited, and the other two artists that I were going to curate it this year, they were thinking of ideas before I even finished emailing them about asking, you know, like I don't know. You just, when you meet the right people too, you just know. And
it's really great when you can find someone that brings in just way more enthusiasm, right? Because you're in the nitty gritty of dealing with curation and organization and all this and that. So when someone comes in excited, I really look forward to the next event. That it really helps.
Totally. Yeah, and I think, you know, like we also try to prioritize people that are investing in us, people that come to our shows, people that support what we're doing, and anyways.
Cool. Well, all right. That's all the talking points I have. How can people find out more about your events and reach out to you and connect?
Yeah, we you know, please, if you are an artist and you live and work in Bushwick and you're interested in being a part, please email us. Email is the best way. I check Instagram a lot too, but you know, if we're not following each other already, it goes to that weird box, general box. I don't even know. I try to be good about checking that, but every once in a while it gets lost. And then, yes, and then we have our website, www.danceinbushwick.com. Yeah, I hope to keep doing the virtual takeovers until we can think of a better idea, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really haven't checked the news, but there's like phase 0, phase 1, phase 2. I don't know where theater and festivals fall on that.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have ideas. I didn't mean to downplay it like that, but but we did. I do just want to give props to this Bushwick Life that connected us, and they were another part of our kind of virtual rollout. We did a class takeover on their Instagram and had some great teachers teach classes. That was really a wonderful experience too.
Yeah, I mean, I've invited this Bushwick Life on this, but they seem to be a little bit more private.
Yeah.
So I told them they could just put up the logo if they want, but
Christian's just really great at building community though, and he's just such a generous person. Yeah, I can see him not wanting to.
I just want to shake his hand, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Well, all right, Joanna, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you, Harry. So nice to meet you. Talk. Bye.